Parasaurolophus is a genus of hadrosaurid duck-billed dinosaur that lived in what is now Western North America and possibly Asia during the Late Cretaceous period, about 76.9 to 70.5 million years ago. It was a large herbivore that could reach over 9 meters or 30 feet long and weigh over 5 tons, and were able to move as a biped and a quadruped. There are 3 recognized species: Parasaurolophus walker, which is the type species, Parasaurolophus tubicen, and the short-crested Parasaurolophus ceratocrestatus. There could be a 4th species, Parasaurolophus giaiensis, but it is more commonly placed in the separate genus Coronosaurus. Fossilized remains have been discovered in Alberta, Mexico, and Utah, with the potential inclusion of Heilongjiang if Coronosaurus is indeed classified within the genus. William Parkes first described the genus in 1922 from a skull and partial skeleton found in Alberta. Parasaurolophus was a hadrosaurid, part of a diverse family of large Late Cretaceous ornithopods that are known for their range of bizarre head ornaments, which were likely used for communication and increased hearing. This genus is known for its large, elaborate cranial crest, which forms a long, curved tube projecting upwards and back from the skull in its largest form. Coronosaurus from China, which may have been its closest relative, had a similar skull and a potentially similar crest. Visual recognition of both species, sex, acoustic resonance, and thermoregulation have been proposed as functional explanations for the crest. It is one of the rarer hadrosaurids, known from only a handful of good specimens. Discovery and naming. The discovery of Parasaurolophus began in 1920, when the holotype Parasaurolophus walkeri was unearthed in Alberta. This significant find marked the first introduction of Parasaurolophus to the scientific community, establishing it as the reference point for the species. The name Parasaurolophus, translating to near-crested lizard in Greek, aptly describes the dinosaur's most distinctive feature. In 1931, a second species, Parasaurolophus tubicen, was described from fossils found in New Mexico. This discovery further highlighted the geographic range of Parasaurolophus, extending its known habitat from the cooler climates of Alberta to the warmer regions of New Mexico. The Parasaurolophus tubicen specimens provided more insights into the variety within the Parasaurolophus crest structures, suggesting a diversity in appearance and possibly behavior among different species. Another leap in our knowledge came in 1961 with the naming of Parasaurolophus ceratocrestatus, also from New Mexico. This species, distinguished by variations in its crest, underscored the adaptability and evolutionary nuances of this dinosaur. Each species has contributed to a richer, more complex picture of how these dinosaurs lived, interacted, and thrived during the Cretaceous period. Description. Like most dinosaurs, the skeleton of Parasaurolophus is incompletely known. The length of the type specimen of Parasaurolophus walkeri is estimated at 9.45 meters, or 30 feet, with a body mass of more than 5 tons. Gregory Scott Paul estimated that an average adult individual of the type species would measure 7.5 meters, or 25 feet long, and weigh 2.6 tons. Its skull is about 1.6 meters, or about 5 foot 3 inches long, including the crest, whereas the type skull of Parasaurolophus tubicen is over 2 meters, or 6 feet 7 inches long, indicating it was a larger animal. Its single known arm was relatively short for a hadrosaurid, with a short but wide shoulder blade. The thigh bone measures 103 centimeters, or 41 inches long in Parasaurolophus walkeri, and is robust for its length when compared to other hadrosaurids. The upper arm and pelvic bones were also heavily built. Like other hadrosaurids, it was able to walk on either 2 legs or 4. It probably preferred to forage for food on 4 legs, but ran on 2. The neural spines of the vertebrae were tall, as was common in Lambeosaurians. At their tallest over the hips, they increased the height of the back. Skin impressions have been documented for the type specimen as well, revealing consistent tubercle-like scales, albeit within larger structures. When moving slowly along looking for food, the Parasaurolophus would lower its front legs to the ground to walk on all fours. When it ran, though, it ran with remarkable speed, up to 48 kilometers an hour or 30 miles an hour on its two hind legs. The dinosaur had either very short claws or no claws at all, so it couldn't use them as a defense against predators. However, the dinosaur had great vision, allowing it to monitor its surroundings for predators. Diet and feeding. As a hadrosaurid, Parasaurolophus was a large bipedal and quadrupedal herbivore, eating plants with a sophisticated skull that permitted a grinding motion analogous to chewing. These teeth were continually being replaced and were packed into dental batteries containing hundreds of teeth, but only a relative handful of which were in use at any time. It used its beak to crop plant material, which was held in the jaws by a cheek-like organ. Vegetation could have been taken from the ground up to a height of around 4 meters or 13 feet. As noted by Robert Bakker, Lambeosaurians have narrower beaks than hadrosaurids, implying that Parasaurolophus and its relatives could feed more selectively than their broad-beaked, crestless counterparts. Parasaurolophus had a diet consisting of leaves, twigs, and pine needles, which would imply that it was a browser. Parasaurolophus crest. Many hypotheses have been advanced as to what functions the cranial crest of Parasaurolophus performed, but most have been discredited. It is now believed that it may have had several functions: visual display for identifying species and sex, sound amplification for communication, and thermoregulation. It is not clear which was most significant at what times in the evolution of the crest and its internal nasal passages. As for other Lambeosaurians, it is believed that the cranial crest of Parasaurolophus changed with age and was a sexually dimorphic characteristic in adults. James Hobson, one of the first researchers to describe Lambeosaurian crests in terms of such distinctions, suggested that Parasaurolophus ceratocristatus, with its small crest, was the female form of Parasaurolophus tubescens, while Thomas Williamson suggested that it was the juvenile form, but neither hypothesis became widely accepted. As only 6 good skulls, 1 juvenile brain case and 1 recently discovered juvenile skull are known, additional material will help clear up these potential relationships. Williamson noted that in any case, juvenile Parasaurolophus probably has small, rounded crests like Parasaurolophus ceratocristatus that probably grew faster as individuals approached sexual maturity. Recent restudy of a juvenile brain case previously assigned to Lambeosaurus, now assigned to Parasaurolophus, provides evidence that a smaller tubular crest was present in juveniles. Many early suggestions focused on adaptations for an aquatic lifestyle, following the hypothesis that hadrosaurids were amphibious, a common line of thought until the 1960s. Thus, Alfred Sherwood Romer proposed it served as a snorkel. Martin Wilfarth that it was an attachment for a mobile proboscis used as a breathing tube or for food gathering. Charles Sternberg that it served as an air trap to keep water out of the lungs, and Ned Colbert that it served as an air reservoir for prolonged stays underwater. Other proposals were more mechanical in nature. William Parkes in 1922 suggested that the crest was joined to the vertebrae above the shoulders by ligaments or muscles and helped with moving and supporting the head. This is unlikely, because in all modern archosaurs, the nuchal ligament attaches to the neck or base of the skull. Othenio Abel proposed it was used as a weapon in combat among members of the same species, and Andrew Milner suggested that it could be used as a foliage deflector, like the helmet crest called casque of the cassowary. Most of these hypotheses have been discredited or rejected. For example, there is no hole at the end of the crest for a snorkeling function, There are no muscle scars for a proboscis, and it is dubious that an animal with a beak would need one. As a proposed airlock, it would not have kept out water. The proposed air reservoir would have been insufficient for an animal the size of Parasaurolophus. Other hadrosaurids had large heads without needing large hollow crests to serve as attachment points for supporting ligaments. Also, none of the proposals explain why the crest had such a shape, why other Lambeosaurians should have crests that look much different but perform a similar function, how crestless or solid crested hadrosaurids got along without such capabilities, or why some hadrosaurids had solid crests. These considerations particularly impact hypotheses based on increasing the capabilities of systems already present in the animal, such as the salt gland and olfaction hypothesis, and indicate that these were not primary functions of the crest. Additionally, work on the nasal cavity of Lambeosaurians shows that olfactory nerves and corresponding sensory tissue were largely outside the portion of the nasal passages in the crest, so the expansion of the crest had little to do with the sense of smell. The large surface area and vascularization of the crest also suggests a thermoregulatory function. It was proposed that there was a nerve connection between the crest and the brain, so that the latter could be cooled by the former. Behavior. Parasaurolophus was a herding animal, living in large social groups that took care of each other and their young. They would have stuck together in these large groups, migrating back and forth extensively along the western interior seaway. Like other hadrosaurs, it would have taken care of its young in large colonies of nests, with parents working together to bring food back to the altricial nestlings. The nests were made in mounds, with vegetation used to keep the eggs warm. The babies, interestingly enough, didn't have any crests. In fact, baby hadrosaurs more or less looked very similar, with differences between the species coming into play during puberty. These animals first grew rapidly to larger sizes, before growing the crest, leading to an awkward tween stage in which the animal looked like a fully grown Parasaurolophus without the crest. Hadrosaurids. Also known as the hadrosaurids, these beautiful beasts possessed flattened rostral bones in their snouts, giving them the unique appearance, similar to a duck's bill, that they are known for today for carrying out various types of beneficial tasks such as defense and felling trees. Initially, one might assume that the duck-billed beaks of these dinosaurs were mainly for display purposes. In truth, their ability to survive was closely tied to the existence of flattened, laterally stretched rostral bones, which gave them the characteristic appearance of a duckbill. Lambeosaurus. Lambeosaurus is a genus of hadrosaurid dinosaur that lived about 75 million years ago in the Late Cretaceous period of North America. This herbivorous dinosaur is known for its distinctive hollow cranial crest, which in the best-known species resembled a mitten. Several possible species have been named, from Canada, the United States, and Mexico, but only the two Canadian species are currently recognized as valid. Lambeosaurus was like other hadrosaurids, and could move on both two legs and all fours, as shown by footprints of related animals. It had a long tail stiffened by ossified tendons that prevented it from drooping. The hands had 4 fingers, lacking the innermost finger of the generalized 5-fingered tetrapod hand, while the second, third, and fourth fingers were bunched together and bore hooves, suggesting the animal could have used the hands for support. The 5th finger was free and could be used to manipulate objects. As a hadrosaurid, Lambeosaurus was a large bipedal/quadrupedal herbivore, eating plants with a sophisticated skull that permitted a grinding motion analogous to mammalian chewing. Its teeth were continually replaced and were packed into dental batteries that each contained hundreds of teeth, only a relative handful of which were in use at any time. Like other Lambeosaurians, Lambeosaurus had a distinctive crest on the top of its head. Respiratory tracts ending in a nasal cavity ran back through this crest, making it mostly hollow. Many suggestions have been made for the function or functions of this crest, including housing salt glands, improving the sense of smell, used as a snorkel or air trap, acting as a resonance chamber for making sounds, or being a method for different species or different sexes of these same species to recognize each other. Social functions such as noise-making and recognition have become the most widely accepted of the various hypotheses. The large size of hadrosaurid eye sockets and the presence of sclerotic rings in the eyes imply acute vision and diurnal habits, evidence that sight was important to these animals. Edmontosaurus. The Edmontosaurus is a genus of duck-billed dinosaurs that roamed the planet in the Late Cretaceous period. In fact, the members of the genus were incredibly gigantic, one of the largest in North America, and includes two valid species, Edmontosaurus regalis and Edmontosaurus annectens. These herbivores were one of the last non-avian dinosaurs that grazed the plains of the Canadian province of Saskatchewan during the final years of the Cretaceous period, just prior to the mysterious mass extinction. Edmontosaurus annectens measured up to 12 meters, or 39 feet in length, and weighed around 5.6 tons, although some individuals would have been much larger. Several well-preserved specimens are known to include numerous bones, as well as extensive skin impressions and possible gut contents. The teeth were continually replaced, taking about half a year to form. They were composed of 6 types of tissues, rivaling the complexity of mammal teeth. They grew in columns, with an observed maximum of 6 in each, and the number of columns varied based on the animal's size. Edmontosaurus is thought to have been a facultative biped, meaning that it mostly moved on 4 legs but could adopt a bipedal stance when needed. Research conducted by computer modeling in 2007 suggests that Edmontosaurus could run at high speeds, perhaps up to 45 km per hour or 28 miles per hour. Edmontosaurus has been considered a possibly migratory hadrosaurid by some authors. A 2008 review of dinosaur migration studies by Phil Bell and Eric Snively proposed that Edmontosaurus regalis was capable of an annual 2,600 kilometers or 1,600 miles round-trip journey, provided it had the requisite metabolism and fat deposition rates. Such a trip would have required speeds of about 2 to 10 kilometers per hour, or 1 to 6 miles per hour, and could have brought it from Alaska to Alberta. Gryposaurus. Gryposaurus was a genus of duck-billed dinosaur that lived about 80 to 75 million years ago in the Late Cretaceous, late Santonian to late Campanian stages of North America. Named species of Gryposaurus are known from the Dinosaur Park Formation in Alberta, Canada, and 2 formations in the United States, the Lower 2 Medicine Formation in Montana and the Kaiparowitz Formation of Utah. A possible additional species from the Javelina Formation in Texas may extend the temporal range of the genus to 66 million years ago. Gryposaurus has the best example of skin impressions, several different types of scalation, pyramidal, rigid, limpet-shaped scutes upwards of 3.8 centimeters long or 1.5 inches on the flank and tail. In 2016, Gregory Paul estimated the size of Gryposaurus latidens at 7.5 meters or 25 feet in length and 2.5 tons in body mass. The distinctive nasal arch of Gryposaurus, like other cranial modifications in duckbills, may have been used in a variety of social functions, such as identifying of sexes or species and social ranking. It could have also been used as a tool for broadside pushing or butting in social contests, and there may have been inflatable air sacs flanking it for both visual and auditory signaling. The top of the arch is roughened in some specimens, suggesting that it was covered by thick, keratinized skin, or that there was a cartilaginous extension. Tsintaosaurus. Tsintaosaurus is a genus of hadrosaurid dinosaur from China. It was about 8.3 meters or 27 feet long and weighed 2.5 tons. The type species is Tsintaosaurus spinoihinus, first described by Chinese paleontologist Chung Chien-yung in 1958. As a hadrosaur, Tsintaosaurus had a characteristic duckbill snout and a battery of powerful teeth, which it used to chew vegetation. It usually walked on all fours, but could rear up on its hind legs to scout for predators and flee if it spotted one. Like other hadrosaurs, Tsintaosaurus probably lived and traveled in herds. Tsintaosaurus was originally reconstructed with a unicorn-like crest on its skull. The crest, as preserved, consists of an about 40 centimeters or 15.7 inches long process, protruding almost vertically from the top of the rear snout. The structure is hollow and seems to have a forked upper end. The crest of Tsintaosaurus wasn't only for show though. Like other crested hadrosaurs, which fell into a group called Lambeosaurines, Tsintaosaurus would have had nasal passages that looped through those expanded premaxillary bones. This circuitous route would have allowed Tsintaosaurus to make unique, low-frequency calls, similar to those reconstructed on the basis of the crests and inner ears of better-known hadrosaurs. Dinosaurs like Tsintaosaurus were probably among the most vocally adept of all the non-avian forms. Tsintaosaurus lived in a diverse ecosystem alongside other dinosaurs, including theropods like Tarbosaurus and sauropods like Maiasaurus. This region was characterized by lush forests and rivers during the Late Cretaceous period. Amurosaurus. Amurosaurus is a genus of Lambeosaurine hadrosaurid dinosaur discovered in the Amur region of Russia. The first fossils of Amurosaurus were found in the late 1940s. Amurosaurus lived during the Late Cretaceous period, approximately 66 million years ago, towards the end of the Mesozoic era. While adult specimens of Amurosaurus are rare, estimates suggest that it was a relatively large dinosaur. It was likely over 6 meters or 20 feet in length, although exact size estimates vary. It is estimated that Amurosaurus weighed around 3,000 kilograms or 6,600 pounds, based on comparisons with other similarly sized hadrosaurid dinosaurs. The anatomical features of Amurosaurus align with those typical of hadrosaurids, including a robust beak-like mouth equipped with specialized dentition for herbivory. Notably, its cranial crest, although infrequently preserved, distinguishes it within the Lambeosaurine group, likely serving as a visual display structure and possibly contributing to vocalization. Maiasaura. Maiasaura is a large herbivorous hadrosaurid dinosaur genus that lived in the area currently covered by the state of Montana and the province of Alberta, Canada, in the Upper Cretaceous period, about 76.2 million years ago. The first remains of Maiasaura pebblesaurum were discovered in the Two Medicine Formation, Montana, in 1978. Maiasaura was about 9 meters or 30 feet long. Young animals walked on their hind legs while adults on all fours. It had a thick, flat nose or beak similar to a duck's bill, but much bigger. Paleontologists know that Maiasaura was a herbivore because of the design of its teeth. It had over 900 short, sturdy teeth made to chew and crush up plants. Adults likely stood on their hind legs to pull at vegetation located in the treetops. In addition, paleontologists estimate this dinosaur could run at a speed of 40 kilometers an hour or 25 miles per hour on its hind legs. The strong, thick tail of the Maiasaura was probably helpful in providing balance as it moved. Plus, it may have been used as a weapon when the Maiasaura was attacked by predators. A dinosaur called the Troodon was one predator of the Maiasaura. Now, if you're putting a drawing of a Troodon and a Maiasaura side by side, you may wonder how a Troodon could have been a threat to a Maiasaura. After all, Troodon dinosaurs are usually 11 feet tall and weighed 110 pounds. However, Troodons were very intelligent, fast, and sly dinosaurs. Paleontologists think that Troodons preyed on old, weak, or very young Maiasaura dinosaurs.